At 63, I finally found my purpose again, and it wasn't where I was looking. In fact, I spent almost 20 years looking in the wrong place. I couldn't escape the thought that I wasn't finished, that there would be a new challenge somewhere, probably related to my previous business career, the same identity. I was wrong. The answer had been sitting right in front of me for years. I just couldn't see it. And looking back, I think many people make exactly the same mistake that I did. They keep looking for purpose without realising they're looking in the wrong place. I think the biggest mistake you can make is treating purpose as if it's some kind of destination, something out there that you've got to find, a place that you've got to get to, a big calling, a mission, some kind of mountain to climb. And for years, that's exactly what I believed. I thought purpose would arrive in some kind of form, maybe another business idea or a big idea. I thought it had to be important and impressive, something really significant, something people would understand when I talked about it. But there's one problem with that thinking. It keeps you searching, because every time I found the next thing, thinking this was it wasn't for me, and I started looking all over again. And before you know it, you have spent years chasing purpose without ever feeling like you found it. I think a lot of people are doing exactly that. They're waiting for some kind of a revelation, a eureka moment, a sign from the heavens, something big that you can't help but notice. But here's the thing, the answer might already be sitting quietly locked away inside your life, just waiting for you to unlock it. At 44, I left the small business that I founded. I assumed the answer to what to do next would just miraculously appear, that I'd finally have time, freedom and options, plenty of space to think about it, so surely purpose would follow. It didn't. Instead, I spent years trying different things: business advisory, consulting, coaching, peer groups, mentoring, startups, all new projects and some of them new ideas. And to be fair, some of them did have legs for a while. That was the pattern. I'd get excited, I'd throw myself into it, I'd imagine that this was it, this was the thing. And then gradually, as I realised this was not going to replicate my previous success, my interest faded and I'd start looking all over again. The frustrating thing was, every few years I thought I'd found the answer. I'd think, this is it. This is the one. This is my next success. This is what I've really been looking for. And for a while, yeah, it felt true. And then the same thing would happen. Novelty fades, excitement fades, and I'd find myself looking again. Now, after a few rounds of that, you do start asking some uncomfortable questions, particularly this one. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do other people seem content with one path leading to a fulfilling retirement, while I keep searching and searching and searching? Is there something wrong with me? Now look, I never said that out loud, but I was thinking it. And I suspect that if you're in your 50s or your 60s, you think that too. Friends ask, so what are you up to these days? Your spouse asks, so what are you going to do now? And after a while, you start asking that question of yourself. Looking back, I don't think I was looking for purpose at all. I think I was looking for certainty. I wanted a clear answer, a clear direction, something to preserve that identity that I'd spent all those years building, something I could point to when people asked, so what do you do now? But life doesn't always work like that, does it? Sometimes the answer doesn't arrive as a revelation at all. It arrives as a process of elimination. Everything I tried taught me something. Some things taught me what I enjoyed. They taught me what I was good at. Other things taught me what I never wanted to do again, even if I was good at them once. And those lessons turned out to be just as valuable. Those 20 years weren't really about finding purpose. They were about self-discovery for a new phase of life. I just didn't know it at the time. This is the part I find fascinating, because when I look back, the answer wasn't hidden. The clues were everywhere. Certain things kept appearing again and again and again. All that changed was the vehicles and the environments and the people. But certain themes kept coming back around like a thread running through my entire story. And what's interesting is this: things I thought were important, well, they usually weren't. For example, the business model, the company, the project itself, the title of it, the position I held in it, the opportunity, the branding. Now look, those things kept changing, but underneath them, nothing much changed at all. I enjoyed ideas, I enjoyed teaching, I enjoyed strategy, I enjoyed sharing things I'd learned, I enjoyed helping people to think differently. Now, what I've come to realise is that that was true at 30, 40, 50 and 60. So now I can see the clues were always there. The strange thing is, I ignored them because they didn't look important enough. They didn't look like purpose. They looked too simple, too ordinary. They were just a bit too obvious. It's easy for you to make that same mistake. If you assume purpose has to arrive with fireworks, a eureka moment, a grand mission, a world-changing thing, when often it's quietly been there the whole time, for decades, whispering the answer in your ear, and you've been too busy looking somewhere else. Purpose feels different. Careers require pushing and planning and hustle, a vision, targets, goals, expectations, increased responsibility, deadlines, pressure, and not forgetting they need people. You've got to chase them, and you've got to be very active, driving them forward. Finding purpose felt different to that. It was pulling me. I found myself returning to it, thinking about it, not because I had to, but because it was already there, at the heart of every choice I made. And eventually, that just became impossible to ignore. There was a moment I realised YouTube was different. This was the turning point. Not when I started the channel. It started as a hobby and a legacy project. Not when that first video was published. That only got 13 views. And not even when the views did start to arrive on my 6th video. No, it was something much simpler. I found myself thinking about it all the time. Video ideas, topics, titles, thumbnails, looking at camera angles, comments, lessons, observations. I'd go for a walk and I'd be thinking about it. I'd read something and think, oh, that'd make an interesting video. My wife will probably tell you it did become slightly annoying. We'd be out for a walk or maybe sitting having a coffee or a drink, and suddenly I'd say, that's a video idea. Oh, that scene over there, that'd be great for B-roll. We'd be watching television and I'd be looking at how they framed the scenes rather than watching the programme, the camera angles, the different shots, counting the seconds between scenes. And after a while, I started realising what was happening. My mind kept coming back to it naturally, with no effort required from me. I'd have a conversation and think, there's an idea there. I'd wake up in the morning with a note in my brain for a future video. I'd be drinking, having a beer or walking along the beach in Portugal, or I'd be on a long drive somewhere, and my mind would naturally drift back to it. Not because I was forcing it, because I wanted to. And that was new, very new, because most of the things I'd done previously required some kind of discipline, motivation. They needed effort and pushing. I was happy to call time at the end of a working day. This felt different. Nobody was asking me to do it. There was no boss, no targets, no pressure, no expectation, and there was certainly no need to do it for the money. As I said earlier, that first video got 13 views. The first comments were really sparse. There was no evidence of what this channel would become, yet I kept coming back to it, excited, and that's when it finally hit me. For the first time in 20 years, I wasn't trying to become somebody. I wasn't trying to create an identity as such. I wasn't trying to find my next eureka moment, the business opportunity. I was simply doing something creative that I loved doing. This is different. I'm not doing this for status or fame. I'm not doing it for money, and I'm certainly not doing it for recognition. I'm doing it because I want to share my experiences and I genuinely enjoy it. And that distinction changes absolutely everything. That was the moment I started realising that purpose doesn't feel like chasing something at all. It feels like coming home. People assume purpose is a luxury problem. They think, if only I had more money, if only I had more freedom, if only I didn't have to work, then I'd be happy. I used to think something similar, but I can tell you from experience that's not how it works, because I did have that freedom. I had those options. I had plenty of time on my hands. I could do almost anything I wanted, yet something was still missing. That's the part people don't talk about. Freedom does solve a lot of problems, but it doesn't automatically create meaning. And freedom without purpose can feel surprisingly empty. You wake up, you have options, you have time, but you don't have anything pulling you forward. Purpose is the thing that changes that. It gives you structure without any obligation. It gives you direction without any pressure. It gives you meaning without a boss. And for me, that filled the gap. A gap that money never could. And it gave me a reason to think and to learn, to grow, to contribute. It gave me a reason to feel that what I was doing actually mattered and might just change someone's life. And that changed everything. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Purpose is not usually discovered, it's recognised. It leaves clues along the way. It shows up repeatedly across decades, across your entire career, across different chapters of your life. The mistake is assuming it has to look important or impressive or world-changing. Sometimes purpose is simply the thing you naturally keep coming back to, the thing that holds your attention, the thing you'd probably do in a perfect world if you had your adult life all over again, rather than that thing you did do for decades because you fell into it and never really had a passion for it. I don't know about you, but 16-year-old Nick would definitely have wanted to be a YouTuber, not a recruiter. I would do it even if nobody asked me to, even if nobody praised me for it, and even if nobody paid me for it. And that's often where the answer is hiding. I used to think purpose was something I had to find. Now I think it's something you notice. It's the thing that keeps calling you back, the thing you keep returning to, the thing you'd probably do even if nobody asked you to. For me, it took until 63 to see it clearly. But maybe it had been there all along. So here's my question. Have you found a purpose? Let me know in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, you might want to watch this one next. It's about why I stopped pursuing a career after 50. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.